But for those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Wendy Watts. I am with Beachbody Corporate. I work with all of the 6 to 14 stars in the Northeast and the Southeast regions, okay? I have been with Beachbody literally a little over 3 whopping months, but health and wellness is part of my background. And as people are joining, that's right, keep joining, love it, all the things. So if you all would in the chat for me, just put to kind of where you're from, if you would, and if you are an avid runner or if you run away from things.
I'm also going to pop in all of our questions just in the chat so I can go through and get it here and not be in our Facebook group.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So Adalis can read this obviously, in the chat as well. But yeah, I'd love to hear if you guys would just, for those of you that are just jumping on in the chat function, just say where you're from and if who's a runner or who's not a runner, unless somebody or someone is chasing you.
I used to be a huge runner. I haven't ran in like 5 years. I did the sample workout, and so I'm really excited.
Awesome. Okay. So just by raise of hands, while we wait for Adalis to jump on, who has tried or has started day one? Just raise of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of you. Okay. 6. All right. I see a thumbs up. Okay. Awesome.
We have 3 that were actually in the test group too. Jessica Rio, Kristen Finch, and Kelly Cox that are on. All 3 of them were in the test group.
Oh my gosh. Awesome. And okay, so Adalis just joined. Welcome, Adalis. People are still, you're on mute. People are still kind of popping on here.
Okay. Oh, okay. Good.
Just so you know, and I actually, Adalis, I asked them, I said, hey, just put in the chat function kind of where you're from. So you can kind of, if you want to go to the chat, you can kind of see where they're from. And then I asked who's a runner or maybe not so much a runner so that you can
Kelly's here. Where's my girl Kelly? There you are. I love you, Kelly. I cannot wait to see you in person and hug you so hard. And everybody else, who else is here from the test group? Anna. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Christine. Who else? That's it, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right, April?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so hi, everyone else. I hope you guys are doing amazing today. Thank you so much, by the way, for being here and spending time with me today.
Oh my gosh, we are thrilled that you could join us tonight. So thank you for doing this and taking the time to do this, Adalis. So I know your time is limited. However, I just want to briefly, most of you know, if you listen to the National Wake Up Call, you know a little bit about Adalis. And for those of you who don't know, she's from Puerto Rico, moved to the United States, lives in Florida, has 2 beautiful daughters, and has an absolutely incredible story. And she's going to share that all with you here tonight. Kelly, Kristen, some of you have heard this, but it's like you can't get enough of her. Because I was in the test group too. And it's like, you just can't get enough of her, You just ooze this just positivity and energy, Adalis, that people just really gravitate towards.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so with that being said, Adalis, like I said, she has an amazing story. She's going to share a little bit about herself tonight, about the program that she created, this 30-day breakaway. And for those of you that are in the test group or were in the test group in the 2nd phase or now going on the 3rd phase, right? Or for those that this is kind of their first week of this launch, this is it's a game changer, right? And I think all of you can attest as you go through this program, it's not necessarily for quote unquote runners. So I need all of you, if you have that stigma in your brain thinking, I'm not a runner, it's okay. It is okay, because I will tell you this program, and Adalis, you can continue to just reinforce this, but there are so many different limits that you're going to continue to break away, not just physically, but emotionally as well. So I'm going to quit talking. With that being said, Adalis, thank you so much for joining the call tonight. And I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so yes, she said a little bit about me. I have 3 girls. I never in my life imagined that I would be a mom of 3 girls. I was terrified of having girls because I grew up with my dad and my brother. So the first time around, I really wanted that boy, but then girls are it's been so amazing, I have to say. And even my 14-year-old, like, oh, yes, I was a former athlete who was really sidelined by a really bad injury in my neck. And then from there, literally, I kind of have to not just reinvent myself, but go through a lot of really, when I said dark moments, I really mean it, like dark moments, and hit bottom, to get where I am today. And also it took me to get really out of my comfort zone. As many of you can tell, English is my second language. So the fact that I am a Beachbody super trainer and that I get to create the first program that is running and that is also bilingual, this is something that for me was just merely a dream. So I knew I wanted to be the Latina trainer, but having that competitive side in me, and that I'm always setting for more like goals and things like that. Now in a healthier way now, because I used to be crazier before and like nothing was enough. And I don't recommend that, by the way, to anyone out here. But then once I started working with the Beachbody, like I knew that I wanted to people, for all of you who have never experienced me as a trainer, like I know I had a lot different to offer, and I wanted really to create a program in English as well. So I actually worked really hard to, when I was filming, to diminish my accent as much as I could, try to enunciate. You're not gonna see that here tonight because I tend to ramble when I get personal. But in the program, you will see better, you will hear better English. But yes, I'm really, really excited. So yeah, after being sidelined by the injury in my neck, I was pretty much told I couldn't run, I couldn't do anything high impact. And being someone who also never had an approach to nutrition, because when I said I never ate a vegetable, like I mean it. Like I was so ignorant. I thought, I used to make fun of people who ate vegetables and eat healthier, but it was a cultural thing. And in Puerto Rico, like I grew up very, very poor, by the way. So the only people who will eat like that or will think about calories and diet were like upper, kind of like the rich people in the island. You don't see a lot of middle class. And then for me, I thought that was like, oh, that's the vein. And because I used to get away with eating everything because I was training for like 2-3 hours a day. But in the end, I wasn't really getting away with it. My body started breaking down. I started having injuries. And then I also, somebody, I'm Cuban and saying, yeah, it's like, in fact, my own family used to, and when I say bully, like they don't like thin people. Like if you're small and you live in a Latin culture, that's like a negative thing. It's like even boys, like I remember like always liking boys when I was a little girl, and they would say, well, she has a pretty face, but her body, like, they're very into the curvy side. And then it wasn't, you guys don't understand. When I moved to United States, I'm like, yes, they're my people. They like more bony. They don't care about if I have a job or not. And even my husband, even though he's Puerto Rican, he was like more embracing about like a petite side. And I don't think I've ever shared that in any calls. Embrace the scars. Yes. So after being sidelined by that injury and kind of like,
what do you have for homework?
I decided to stay home.
I got a decent amount of
Somebody who
science.
haven't muted themselves.
I have a little bit of social studies done. There's only 5 things well, more like 6 things.
Jody.
There's like
somebody that is not muted, yeah. So
compare and contrast chart too.
they have no idea. So yes, for me, I graduated college. I was 24 when that happened. I already have 1 daughter. And then, so for me, because when you're an elite athlete, you do not spend a lot of time with your family. So I used to travel a lot. I spent way too many time training. And my daughter, because I had to do college and training at the same time, she was kind of that baby that was on daycare since she was 7 a.m. and then until 6 p.m. So being a mom, I think we're always like kind of like moms first. I decided, okay, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom while I figure it out what is next, as I never had a plan B. So while I was in the process, and I think it was a very terrible housewife, by the way. Oh my God, that is hard. It is really hard. I am like a fun mom and everything, but I'm really bad at it in some areas. So then through that process, I actually embraced it. I got very involved in my local church community. I started teaching bootcamp classes for free by then, because I had a lot of knowledge, and even though I wasn't exercising, I started connecting with women who were overweight, and Biggest Loser was really big by then, and I already knew how to train others. So I would be like, oh, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I will train them. And then it was really, really fun for me, gave me something extra to do. But I never thought I was going to be a trainer. So it wasn't until we decided to have another child. And this is the part of the story that is the whole reason why I became a trainer. So I was 28 years old. It was week 32 of that pregnancy. I was not feeling well during the entire pregnancy, and the doctors were being very dismissive about a lot of things that I was telling them. And because I already had that neck injury, I was already used to having migraines, numbness, and I would wake up and I couldn't move my neck. So there was days that I needed to be in bed. I remember one day I had this sudden pain in the back of my head. And I don't say this in every call, but when I remember, I like to mention it because it's very important. If you ever feel that, you need to go to the doctor like immediately. Like there's no joke. And that was actually what saved my life. The fact that we took action so fast. So it was started here, and then it was like the worst headache that I ever had. So at first they told my husband, she needs to go. It is eclampsia. They need to take care of her. And it wasn't until I was there, it was unbearable, the pain. I can't even describe it. I feel like female, we are so strong, by the way, when we can tap into that, like mindset of like whenever something gets really hard. And that really was a savior for me at the moment. But I was literally telling the nurses, I don't care that I'm pregnant, give me drugs. Like I was crying, just give me something. And then obviously they were just giving me Tylenol. And then when the doctor, there's something wrong when a nurse comes to you and they start doing this. That's never happened to me. So she just started like rubbing my arm, and then we got the devastating news that I was actually having a brain bleed. So from there, you guys can just imagine, my oldest was 4. And that was honestly day one of when everything just went downhill. And when I said downhill, like it was just bad, physically, mentally, everything. I was living in fear, but it was also that process that led me to take action, because I got into a place in my life that I was consumed by anxiety, by depression, I became my I can'ts. And when I said I became my I can'ts, like there wasn't anything that somebody could tell me. And I didn't even have much friends at a time. Like I was raised by boys, so I never learned how to talk about my feelings. And I was always like, tough it up. So it was very, I didn't knew how to be vulnerable. I thought I was being weak, so I would hide it from people. So I never told people how I was feeling. My husband obviously knew, but then it took like several months of me like being depressed, and everybody around me like noticed, not being able to even bathe my baby at a time, and just struggling with day-to-day tasks. And then also becoming such a negative person. Like I wouldn't even let my daughters get out of my house with anybody else. It had to be me. And after spending months on doctor's appointments, hospitals, because things kept getting worse, I just had it. And when I said I had it, like I had it, I didn't like that. I couldn't recognize the athlete, the woman that I used to be. I used to be so independent, and I became this like nagging human who I didn't have nothing. Like I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything. And I sucked as being a mom because I couldn't even play with them. So it was that path that led me to, after one doctor's appointment, I remember being like, he told me like, why don't you just run again? Why don't you just start exercising? And I was telling him, but I was told that I can't do these things. And he was an Indian guy, by the way. And he told me, but what else do you have to lose? You used to be an athlete? And I think he just knew like I was holding myself back and limiting myself even more, to doing even other things that I could do maybe. And that was the first day in almost 4 years and a half that I removed that. And I removed the I can to what if I actually start adding movement again in a different way. And that was the first time that I went for a run, and it was a terrible run, but to me it was ridiculous. Like I was smiling, I was happy because it opened up the possibility of me to start enjoying and moving my body in the way that I used to do. So there was a lot of trial and error, but basically I just started buying Like if you see ever my office, like it's just filled with books and they're not interesting. They're boring books. And I just started consuming like information and applying. And then it got to the point that I was wasting so many hours a day that I'm like, I might as well get certified. And then I started applying. And when I got certified, I didn't want it to train people yet. I just started applying everything and I became my own guinea pig. And then my warm-ups used to take like 20 minutes. I was doing a lot of things we actually gonna do in the program, not all of them, but a lot of hip mobility, glute activation, core activation exercises, and moving my body in a very like smarted way. And then little by little, I started doing more. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like I started feeling better. It felt like me again. And then that really gave me a purpose and that empathy, because I couldn't relate to normal women. When you're an athlete, in your whole life, since you're like 16 years old, you're traveling and competing international, and even your best friend like is training for 3 hours. You don't get to enjoy summers. You don't get to do a lot of things that normal people do, even college. So I couldn't understand why people didn't move, like why people feel like like all the things that most human feels that when you're starting a fitness program and you struggle. I never felt that until I was postpartum, because postpartum is hard when you start exercising again, and until I went to that process. And then I remember being like, oh, like I need to do this. And then this time I started again local bootcamp classes and training other people. And then I started having a more successful business locally after a while. It took a while because I was not the best when it comes to business. And then I remember I knew that I wanted to do at-home fitness. And then for me, one day I opened a magazine. It was Women's Health. And they were looking for the next fitness star. So the first year I applied, I didn't get it, which I'm not surprised. I wasn't ready. I do believe like sometimes we need to get rejection to get more education and learn what are we doing wrong. And then a whole year went by and I got another certification. I started like practicing, learning more, and even how to be on camera, because I have no experience and my English was pretty bad by then too. And then I got selected. And then once I started working with that magazine, a lot of things started happening. They really saw my passion. They saw my knowledge. So I became a fitness advisor for them for a few years. And then I got to create a program with Men's Health. And it just kind of escalated from them. But I never really departed till this day from my main message that I sent, like to move your body in an empowering way and to stay sharp. It's just so much more than the way that we lose, the way we look. And I know I am someone that I've been in the industry a lot and I get judged. A lot of people look at me and they're like, oh, it's easier for you. Like you're small, like you can move, but people don't know my story. And it's not, if it wasn't for Beachbody, I wouldn't be sharing that, because for a lot of years, it's so silly now, but I didn't want to share my story because I was embarrassed, which is stupid. I know. I just wanted to be known by, no, she's smart. She has the certifications. She was a former athlete. I thought that was the thing that was going to give me credibility, but now I know better. And I feel like, no, this is what helps me. People need to know, even though not every day I want to say it, but I'm rambling. And anyways, after that, I started creating other programs and working with other Target. I was a fitness ambassador with them for 2 years. I used to do a lot of fitness events for them, and then Nordic Track, and then finally Beachbody found me. And then I remember seeing Tony Horton on P90X. I didn't do the whole program. I did like lower body and yoga by then. And I remember I seen him and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can do this. But I didn't, not in a humble way. I'm like, oh my God, like I want to do that. Like I can be that trainer that teach people. And there's not a lot of at-home workouts in the Latin community. In fact, there's so much ignorance and lack of education when it comes to nutrition and moving. And everybody just do like lipos and surgery. Is very different. And it's actually one of the things what I always said, no, I want to challenge myself, even though I was terrible in English. I want to make it in the English world. So it kind of happened in the opposite way. It took me to do more work and get out of my comfort zone. I would spend like hours rehearsing in my garage by then. That was hot, had no air, to be able to film on camera. My husband has perfect English and he will come home. Let's practice your English. And I would be like crying 2 weeks before filming my first program. Like, there's no way I can do this. and I don't want to get emotional, and this hasn't happened, but the same thing happened when I was filming this program with the audience. I'm like, oh my gosh, they might not like my accent, but I'm sharing this because sometimes it takes for us to be out of our comfort zone and get out of our head to just put ourselves out there to grow, to learn, to have more wisdom, and to realize that we're just so much capable of anything that we think, and set and achieve even bigger goals. So after, obviously, when Beachbody reached out, I was to be the Latina trainer, which I knew I wanted to be the first Latina trainer. I was ready. I was in the perfect. Everything looked perfect. When they give me the call, I'm like, in fact, like I was either, I don't know if you guys saw that summit when they announced me, that Carl said, oh, we were fighting with another company. It was Peloton, ironically. So Peloton was opening the running division, and they wanted me to be the kind of like the leading instructor for the running because of my experience in running and the Latino. And I'm really good friend with one of the trainers there, the VP of, because we used to work for Target together. So it was kind of like, but I knew it was going to be Beachbody. And then I remember being, okay, what took you guys? Like, I've been waiting for you guys to reach out. Like, I knew I wanted to do, other companies are hiring me. So it was perfect. But then I found out that I was pregnant. And I was terrified, but I'm like, here we go. I'm going to lose everything. But it ended up being just a bigger blessing. I got to film Mess the Mass, and I was pregnant. And it was just very empowering this time around. I'm not going to lie, when I find out I was pregnant, I only had one nightmare for many years, and it was that I was expecting, because I associated pregnancy with obviously the trauma that I went through. And I'm like, I got lucky one. I don't want to like, so we always knew we were not going to have more children unless we decided to adopt. But then Julia just came into our life. And then that pregnancy, I got to start working with Beachbody. They embraced it. We were just hiding the belly a little bit. And then after the postpartum, I started talking to Carl, like, I want to create another program. Like, let's start working. And then we started talking about the 30-day breakaway. So, and now we're here. And I feel like every time my story gets longer, but yes. But I think it's important because so many of you really don't know me, or you're like, who's this girl? Like, where's she coming from? But now you know 60% of how I got here. Yes. And then to talk about 30-day breakaway. So obviously the program, it has strength training. It has, and introducing running to you guys. And I know that all of you are like, why do I need to run? Isn't Beachbody just for at-home workouts? But I think it's time for you guys to just, again, like, get out of your comfort zone and experience something that maybe in the past used to be negative or really, really hard, in a more positive, uplifting way. And just not only take your fitness to another level, but in times like this to kind of like break away from the normal routine. There's a lot going on. And one feedback that I'm getting a lot from the test group is like, wow, this program couldn't come at a better time. And it's really positive. It's really empowering. It teaches us how to be more intuitive with our training, with our body, with our nutrition, and to focus on performance goals. And that's a big part of who I am as a trainer. Like, I like to teach women, yes, I understand. I get it. I know you want to look amazing on a bathing suit. I know you want to fit on those jeans. I understand all that. Like, I'm female as well. But the best way, and I mean this, and after years of dealing with women and doing at-home programs and working with big brands, the best and most effective ways to get there in a sustainable way that is also empowering is setting performance goal. And that's pretty much what oh, yay. And this is pretty much what this program is about. We're going to be lifting heavier. We're going to do strength training in a smarter, but also fun way. We're going to be pushing our limits a little bit every day. And then we're going to introduce walking and running intervals at your own pace. Even though I recommend some intensities, if you're a beginner, you don't even have to worry about that. Just get out there, do what you can. You're still going to get incredible results. You're going to increase your stamina. Your body's going to change because you guys have been doing pretty much the same because they can have different names and different variations, but you're just pretty much doing resistance workouts in a circuit training, which is amazing, which I'm excited that you guys have done it because now you guys are strong enough that you can just add something new. Okay, and let me start answering questions because I think you guys are my first call today. I think my first call is always the worst. Like I just,
Oh my
and
God.
then I get,
like,
okay.
No, It's perfect. Everyone, the chat is literally blowing up right
Oh
now.
God.
Like
I don't know how to read my audience sometimes. I'm like looking at the faces and I know everybody's like, what day is today? Tuesday? I know it's Tuesday, but
You've been talking for like 2 days straight, girl. Give yourself a break. You did great.
oh my God, I had the funniest meeting before this. And I was like rushing, taking my daughter to gymnastics, came home, my baby fell asleep in the car seat, and she's 2 now, and that hasn't happened. And I haven't changed the car seat, by the way. It's still like the baby one. And I'm like, oh, because of the quarantine, like we never go out. And then I'm like getting the car seat. It was so heavy, and she's still in the car seat upstairs. Like it's been one of those days. She's still like before the call, she was in the entrance, and then I'm like, and I guess my heart rate got up. I'm like, she's so heavy, and with the car seat, do not wake up. And I put her, and then my husband should get here anytime to take her to pick her up. And then when I had that meeting, my brain was like, and it was just so awkward, by the way, but real life.
Yeah, you did great. You did great. So yeah, everyone's saying mom life. We've got a lot of moms in the thick of it right now. So I look like I've been like blown away in a windstorm today, by the way. So you're all good. Okay. So I asked some questions earlier today, and so I'll go ahead and just kind of would you prefer me to ask you them, or do you want me to pop them in the chat? What would you rather?
You asked them, yeah. Let's
Okay. All right. So I have somebody there wanting to know how to talk to people that may already be like half marathon or marathon runners. Maybe they think that they're like above it because they see it's like as a couch to 5K program. So what would you say to that already established market, why they should join?
Well, again, we have to go back to like educating ourselves, and because a lot of people label themselves as advanced runner just because they can run a few miles, but it doesn't really mean that they know what they're doing, that they don't know how they're training. And for someone to even be like that, if they already researched what the program was about, they would already know, oh, it's interval running, so it's RPE based, so it's just the benefits alone. Has been proven, like any elite athlete, anybody who competes, all those people who you see winning marathons, they do this kind of workouts. Obviously they do it longer, and then they have days that they run longer miles. But what I took was, when I knew I had to do this program, I'm like, what can work for someone who's beginner, but also very advanced? Because even though I'm not an advanced runner anymore, like of people who run a marathon, I'm very advanced when it comes to running and what challenges me. And interval running is the only form of running that does that, because it's all about your effort. And then the rest period, somebody who's beginner, you just walk it out. But somebody who's very advanced, you just run the entire time. And then maybe you have those days that you just do your longer runs. But when it comes to speed, all the PRs in their miles. So there was somebody in the test group, and he's like, at this point, like, I don't even want to say, people in the test group, I feel like they're like my virtual friends, like my family. Like, so he's been very vocal about all the gains that he has had. He's been very vocal that he wasn't as humble, that he let his ego get in the way. And he didn't want to be coachable because he thought he was already so experienced, to the point that he even tried to run the Boston Marathon. So, like, that's somebody who's very legit and serious about running. And then what do we saw with him? He did 2 rounds. First round, he PR on his 5K by a lot. He did his first, before the program, he did a 7:14 mile pace. During the program, he did a 6:11. Or maybe one of them was 14:1:11, but that's still a pretty big gap. He went so almost a minute. So it was a 3-minute PR. That doesn't just happen if the programming is not smart and the program is not effective. And then strength gains. The way my strength training is different. It's functional, it's effective, but you guys are going to do a lot of different moves. My warm-ups are longer. We have to prep our body. A lot of people, you do squats, you do lunges, but you don't feel your glutes getting activated. You haven't properly opened your hips. These are things, and a lot of stability and single leg work that we do here, that most people who are advanced runners, they just don't do it, because again, they just kind of like self-thought, because running is so natural that a lot of people do it. And even if you do it wrong, you can actually still run triathlons, ultra marathons. I've seen people with the worst running form do multiple marathons. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine if they actually train properly and they fix their form, how much better they can get. So this is something that they're going to get in the program. And then second round, yesterday, was it yesterday, Kelly, that he went for like a 10-mile run? And he did 10 miles at a 7-minute pace. So he turned what was his personal best on a 5K, that is 3 mile. He was able to do a 7, oh my God, it was insane, in 10 minutes. So obviously the program, they are short and effective workouts, but what you get out of those 19 to 25 minutes of work is way more than you can get out of on your own 40, 50-minute section. So let's just, they're gonna get, so how can you simplify that? You can say that, or you can also say, well, you're going to get faster, you're going to get stronger, you're going to PR on your 5K, you're doing interval running, which has been proven to be the most effective ways to increase your running capacities, your VO2 max, your anaerobic, inaerobic, which are two different things. And this you get from interval training. And the whole program is that. We do tempo, we do a lot of things. For me as a trainer, yes, it was a challenge because I was thinking, it was really hard because I'm like, how can I make this for the people? Oh, hi, April. I'm glad that you understand what I'm talking. So yes, I'm like, how can I get for someone who's beginner, but then how can I make it time efficient? It's beach body, so I could not just do a run program. I needed to have strength training so that people also get the aesthetic goals. I know that's the majority of the people in beach body. You're just looking for weight loss and fat loss. So for me, I had to prioritize strength training, but the combination of both, it provides the perfect strength and conditioning program that conditions your body to even, because you're never going to run more than 25 minutes. I think it's like 26 minutes the longest, I think. But even someone who was a beginner, it took them 45 to 50 minutes to run nonstop. And it was because the combination of both conditioned the body to stay active, to be able to endure that. So the program is very complete. And we did have some challenges. I did have to film everything in Spanish. So it's not like I could do some days like today, you might see a run prep when it doesn't belong because I couldn't film the same workout 10 times because it was in both languages. But as you guys see the calendar, you're like, you can still do those stretches. Don't get me wrong. They're beneficial. You're adding movement. But it doesn't mean that you're going to go for the run, even though if I'm saying, have a good run, I knew that I needed to, for this to work, I needed to create 3 different calendars as well.
Love that. And yes, absolutely love that you have it in both languages. And I was thinking that, I was like, did she just do like double workouts all the time?
Every time. I've never been such a fan of beach body performance. I used to be like so holistic. And the first time in my life that I had pre-workout was like a few years ago. I filmed for Nordic Track too. And when you go to Utah to film, is altitude. And after day 4, I was like, and somebody gave me like half of a scoop, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. But it had too many weird things in it. And then the Energize, it took me forever because I was pregnant at first, and then I know you can drink it when you're pregnant, but I was like, I'm not gonna drink it until later. So it wasn't until a few months ago that I became an Energized crazy person. And then when I was filming, I couldn't live without it because it was what kept me pretty much alive. But yes, I would wait like 20 minutes, like get a little bit in between and then do it again because it wasn't a studio. So we needed, the wind could change or the lighting, so we couldn't risk it. So everything was like pretty much back to back.
Yeah. And I actually have a really big running market, and when Energize first came out, I have such a group of people that absolutely swear by Energize and then use the hydrate during their long run. So
I do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. So then we get this question a lot. Is it okay to split the workouts, strength in the morning, running at night kind of thing? Are you okay with that?
Yes, I will advise to at least do a few so that you get your body used to working out 45, 50 minutes. It's not going to happen every day, by the way, if you're following the basic calendar, but if you can't take that time, then split them. Whenever you guys are splitting the workouts, there is a separate warm up and cool down for whenever you're going to do the run. So make sure that you do those as well.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm just going to kind of breeze through these because I know you've got probably more calls and all that stuff.
No. Let's finish. Yeah.
Okay. So nutrition wise for the bracket, is it moderate or a strenuous program for, changing, for like ultimate portion fix and stuff?
Okay. What I will advise is she did change them right to the strenuous. At the beginning, she was like, oh, do the moderate. I will advise, everyone is different. Start the program if you feel lethargic, if you feel like a little headache, if you feel like you don't have the energy, then switch to the extreme.
Okay. And then, yeah. And then Kate just asked, since we don't have the advanced calendar yet, can we add extra runs?
Yes. In fact, a lot of people assume that the advanced calendars are for advanced runners, but that's what you're wrong. If I was training for a half marathon and things like that, I would not be following the advanced, because 5 times a week of interval training is very taxing in the body. So I actually advise people to stay with the basic or the time crunch, and then you do those extra. You can add 5 to 10 minutes if you want to do a 40-minute section before the interval, and then 5 to 10 after. Or the days that you have a rest day, or whenever you feel like that your body wants to, you can add up to 2 more runs that are longer runs. But when you follow the advanced calendar, that's actually is harder to do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And then, so Kelly said she's gotten this question a lot, that people say, I've run before, but I get so hungry. What can I do to help with this?
Eat. Listen to your body. Hydrate more. Listen to your body. You know that one of the biggest mistakes that women do sometimes when they trying to do weight loss and fat loss, they don't listen. They ignore their bodies cues for hunger and things like that, and they exercise, so you ended up burning even more calories. But our bodies are really smart, and if you're under eating, it's going to slow down your metabolism. It's going to hold on to the fat. And that's just something that I've been emphasizing in the test group. I'm like, be intuitive. And when you train for performance, you still going to see those gains. It might take a little bit longer, but it's very important that when you do running and lifting, especially if you're going heavier too, you have to eat. And this is the beauty of the program. You can add up to more, 200, for some people 400 calories more. It depends what you're doing. So that's a major win, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I have a headband from when I used to run that said, I run so I can eat. I actually just found it the other day. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Okay. So then the other thing was, what do you have a preferred like race day meal, or before like your, weekend runs or anything, any type of meal that you prefer that's kind of light on your stomach, or kind of thing that you suggest?
So the 5K is pretty much going to translate, like someone who is very beginner is going to translate to like 1 day of lifting. Let's say the hardest days are the metabolic ones, right, Kelly? Is that where you feel like that you do meta burn or meta spice and then you do a run? And those days are meant to be hard. Even though both workouts that I combine them are short. So it's going to translate to that, what you need, because you're pretty much going to be moving your body on average for 28 minutes to 50 minutes if you're someone really beginner. So I think just eat normal. I personally, when I eat a lot of carbs, because if not, I cannot train this way. So whenever I'm doing workouts like that, I do have oatmeal in the morning. I do it almond milk. I have a banana. I always put, whenever you have oatmeal, make sure that you put a little bit of fat, a little bit, so that you don't get super hungry too soon. And then bananas are easy. If you're just like a snack right before you're going to go for a run, keep it simple. It has to be a simple carb. Stay away from fats if you're just going to do it 30 minutes after you eat, because that can cause some digestive symptoms and even some side stitches. But honestly, like, you don't have to super carb load. Whenever I'm doing lower body from this program or metabolic, I just have like rice. I keep it simple: rice, veggies, salmon, and then sweet potatoes are best. I don't love it, so I'd rather go with rice, even though sweet potatoes are better for aesthetics. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to improve my health habit. But rice is just always good to me. But yeah, it's like, just keep it simple. Like, you don't have to, like, the day of the race, you don't have to change too much things, because you already have condition your body to do that. And to me, some of the workout days are even harder than the 5K day.
Okay, great. And then Hannah has a question. Hannah, do you want to ask?
Hi.
Hi.
So my question is, it's getting really cold here in Chicago, like real cold, girlfriend. And so what is your advice for somebody who doesn't have a treadmill and, you know, the cold, yeah, some people can just deal with it, but what if somebody has like an asthma that's triggered by weather, so hot weather, cold weather, what is the best advice I can give them or we can give them?
They don't have a treadmill or a cycling bike that they can do the audio portion, but just looking at the screen. And they, by the way, Beachbody, if you go to the program materials, you're gonna see the whole workouts in a PDF version so that people will know what it is for the hearing impaired. If they don't have either action to that, access to that, then just do the rainy day cardio twice a week. No more than that. And then pretty much like you're just doing what they do now. Like most of them are not runners, but they're still focusing on the strength, mobility, and then they still do. And the indoor cardio option is not that easy. My sister did it yesterday because it rained. No, why didn't you call me? No, like just stop. Like day one, and she was like, I was so nauseous because she had like a full body, and then she did. And I'm like, no, you need to know when to do that one. Obviously, she went for it. Like she was really motivated. But it's a pretty good one, in my opinion. Like it is a really good routine.
Okay, perfect.
But no more than twice a week because then again, it's just a lot.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions we had. Does anybody have anything else? I'm pretty sure we addressed them all. Yeah, what are you most excited about for this program and for everyone to experience?
Excited after doing the test group. I was just so blown away by the emotion behind it, how empowering, uplifting, how many people were like, had such a we're very close-minded into, I don't want to do this. And then they're like, oh my God, and now they're like, can I do this with this program? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know that program well enough to recommend if you can run. Like now they just can't live without because they enjoy the benefits and they enjoy the results. But I think that part, like, turning non-runners into runners, helping all of you ladies be more intuitive and appreciative about your body, about what it can do for you. I feel like we do spend a lot of time kind of like picking ourselves apart, and this program is different when it comes to, because it's performance driven. The results are going to be insane, but they're just so much more than the weight loss and the inches. There's a lot of things that soon I will start sharing more stories, you know, when the corporates start releasing those. But it was good how families were coming together. Her husband, who never wanted to do the program because they thought they were like, ugh, like not good, and they started joining their wife to do the 30-day breakaway because they enjoy the lifting and then they enjoy going outside. How you can incorporate your kids, how you're even more out there in the community. Because sometimes I'm very antisocial with my neighbors. Like when I was the first house that we lived, we used to live in a cul-de-sac. And it was by that time that I didn't have a job. So I became the mom that had to pick up the kids from school and drop them. And then they would stay in my house. I love those kids, but it was not fun. Like, oh my gosh. And then after we lived there, Saturday mornings, the kids would be like, without knocking, entering the house, and I was in my pajamas, and I'm like, what's going on? And then after that, we swore, my husband and I, that we would not talk to the neighbors, and now I became that person again. We literally, like, I put so many plants around, like, we'll build a fort. Terrible, I know, but this gives us an opportunity. Like, you can't escape your neighbors. Like, hi, how are you doing? And I've seen people like you start talking about Beachbody, about what you're doing, and you have like a bigger impact in the community as well. Anyway, I don't know why I share that, but
I love it.
True story.
It's great. Okay, we're gonna ask if you don't mind taking a quick screenshot so we can all share on stories and tag you. And we all want to just say congratulations. Like, this is so cool. And we are so excited that it's you bringing this running program, and we're just so excited to get to know you
so much, ladies. I appreciate it.
Amazing. So, all right, nobody else post in the chat because you're covering up somebody's face here on the bottom. No more posting in the chat. Hold on, let me make it go away. Kate, stop it.
Oh, sorry. I stopped my video. There you go.
Okay, I have two screens, so keep smiling. 1, 2, 3. Hold on, here I go. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. And make sure you guys could have taken some pictures and boomerangs. And I know a couple of people did, so we'll share that. But thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Wendy, for making this happen. We absolutely adore you. And we will be tagging you in all the things on stories. Can't wait.
Thank you, Wendy. And if you guys have any more questions, make sure that you go to the VIP training group, because I wasn't as active today, but tomorrow I'm going all in, answering all the questions and providing you useful content that I haven't. But I'll see you guys there. Bye.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone.